Many of you already know, recently Microsoft made an epic power move by acquiring Bethesda Softworks parent company Zenimax for a whopping $7.5 billion, bringing their in-house acquisition to 23 development studios. And due to this surprising maneuver, there are many signs pointing at the next generation console war not looking anything like the current state of affairs between Microsoft and Sony and their current console positioning in the market. With several high-profile games now in their stable, like Doom and Wolfenstein and The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Dishonored, and Quake, and more, Wedbush Securities analyst Michael Pachter, in a recent interview with gaming media hub Gamingbolt, made mention that this latest acquisition by Microsoft will in fact shift millions of players away from buying the PlayStation 5 in favor of acquiring the Xbox Series X and Series S. What do you think? In the interview, Pachter states, "I'd say if you want to play new games from Bethesda, you have to buy an Xbox or sign up for Game Pass, which is cheaper. Clearly Game Pass works, so if you're playing on PC, you can get Bethesda games that way. But if you're a PlayStation fan, you're not going to be able to play new Bethesda games on there." He goes on to say, "It's really hard to know what will happen to the catalog titles. Theoretically, Fallout 3 and 4, Wolfenstein Youngblood, Doom, those are all on PlayStation. And my guess is you can still continue buying and playing them on there. But I also think these games will all show up on Game Pass after the acquisition closes. So they just made Game Pass a much more compelling value, because you can play everything Bethesda's ever made for $15 a month. So I expect it will help Microsoft's subscription numbers pretty well." More importantly, Pachter does envision games like The Elder Scrolls 6 as big-time system sellers and believes the game, whenever it is announced to be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. And based on the popularity of the franchise, will shift people who may already own the PlayStation 5 to purchase the Xbox Series X and S in order to play the game as well. He goes on to mention that Bethesda Studios, they are not prolific, but they do put out 1 or 2 games a year at least. For example, the last Elder Scrolls game came out in 2011, and I've been predicting a new one will come out since 2016. I'll be right eventually, but the exact year doesn't matter. It's coming out in the next few years, and that will be exclusive to Xbox. So that's a system seller. It won't put them ahead of Sony, but it will definitely shift a few million people from the PlayStation to Xbox. And to be honest, I'm more of a PlayStation prospective purchaser over Xbox myself, but my number 1 and 2 games of all time are Bethesda titles, and probably 5 in my top 15. So the odds that I buy a PlayStation and not an Xbox are nil. I'll end up eventually getting both. And lastly, he states, "But if I were to only buy one, before it would have been the PlayStation 5, because I don't really care as much for Microsoft's output as much as I do The Last of Us or Spider-Man or games by Sucker Punch. Now it will be Xbox, though, because Microsoft suddenly has at least as many appealing titles as Sony does." And in that statement, we believe it must be understood that Microsoft is not simply going into this next generation expecting to be another viable gaming option to the masses. We believe their intentions are deliberate and ambitious. Trust me. You don't spend $7.5 billion to share and be friends with the competition. It just doesn't happen. Pachter also mentions that he thinks Bethesda's upcoming space opus, known as Starfield, will come out on the Xbox Series X and S, as well as the PlayStation 5, as the game has been announced for Sony's new hardware. However, he also concludes that games coming out in 2021 and later will be exclusive to Xbox, as long as they were not previously announced for the PlayStation. Yet, here's where Microsoft's acquisition of Zenimax will begin to see great benefits. If you are a fan of these Zenimax games, which most of us are, yet you already own a PlayStation 5, but you can only get these select games on Xbox, such as the next Elder Scroll or whatever else is coming down the pipeline, we believe many would eventually adopt the Xbox hardware in order to play these great games. Why would you not? And moving forward, why would you ever buy a multi-platform game on the PlayStation 5 for $70 if that same game is part of the Xbox Game Pass? So in essence, despite the potential of Starfield coming to the PlayStation 5, the game would be basically free via Game Pass. To put that into perspective, that single $70 purchase of Starfield on the PlayStation 5 could be used for more than 4 months of Game Pass, including Starfield. When you think about it, that's pretty crazy. All of this is in line with our recent update video entitled Zenimax games will be exclusive to Xbox and Windows 10, here's why, where we address the importance of Microsoft keeping their newly acquired franchises exclusive to their ecosystem, giving them unprecedented value propositions. We certainly believe that Microsoft has Sony in their crosshairs for the next generation, and how they decide to manage all of this newfound software firepower is quite exciting. And there you have it. For more gaming news and updates, please be sure to keep it locked here on Game Insider.